What are we talking about today?
Well, today I figured in honor of Father's Day, we would talk about the moment that you became father.
So it began on a cold, dark Friday night.
My original due date was August 22nd, which, as we know, due dates are kind of, they're like,
might be there, might not be there. Yeah.
So there's a lot of debate.
What?
Yeah, like don't induce babies. Basically.
Oh, I see.
I'm sort of in the middle. I definitely wanted a natural birth, but I knew I wanted to be in a hospital, and I knew that I was probably going to get an epidural. So I took off for maternity leave a week before my due date because we had just moved into a house, and I was just done. It was the middle of summer. I was so pregnant and so ready to be done. You were in pre-production on a short film.
So the way it was supposed to work out was the baby was gonna be born, and then we're gonna be home for a couple weeks. And then it's like, okay, I've got the short film Instant Getaway that I've been producing. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make it. That doesn't work when the baby's a couple weeks late. Waiting.
My mom gets here. Waiting. My dad gets here. Yeah. We're waiting. Everyone on social media is, where's the baby? We're waiting. 5 days, 6 days, 8 days, 10 days.
Yeah.
12 days.
That's when the doctors start being like, this is a little scary.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, because if they wait too long in the belly, it's not ideal.
Basically what my doctor said was, nothing good can come from waiting. Now, whether you agree with that or not, I had to make a call, and we had to make a call together.
So why did you decide to get induced instead of just scheduling, like at 3 o'clock, he's gonna be born kind of thing?
Yeah, well,
cut him out.
Yeah. I wanted that experience where like the baby comes out and he's all like gross and squirmy and slimy, and he's on your chest and nursing, and that, I had that in my head. It was very like, that's what it's gonna be.
I see.
And every time I go to the doctor, because at that point I was seeing her every other day, she was like, you're dilating. So I was dilating and feeling contractions for 14 days.
Oh my God. Hark the herald angel sings.
He knows we're talking about him.
Oh. I got it.
Okay.
Tell your story.
On the morning of September 2nd at 8 a.m., me, Joe, and my mom drove to the hospital and checked in, and it all happened really fast. If you're a little squeamish, maybe tune out now. But basically what they did was they used a method called the Foley balloon, which is literally a balloon that's like long and skinny that they insert into your cervix, and then they blow it up. And that basically, they did that because they said, your body's there, we just need to kind of push it over the edge. I started feeling contractions right away. And I remember I kept asking Joe, like, am I in labor now? And at this point, I was walking up and down the halls, and my mom was there, and we were listening to music. We had the lights off, and the doula had brought these candles. And a doula is somebody who's basically a birth coach. And I remember at one point thinking like, oh, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm so excited. This is, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, but like, it's this cool experience.
Yeah, you know that every single second is getting you closer to baby.
And then his heart rate.
Code red, code blue.
A woman is like rubbing my belly, and another nurse has, my arm is like this, and there's a nurse trying to shove an IV into my wrist, which makes me sick.
Ugh. So when the belly contracts, it stops. It contracts and stops. It contracts and then stops. But for Sarah, it just contracted and stayed. So the baby was like,
yeah. And I just kept being like, what's going on? What's happening? What's going on? And no one was explaining it to me.
No one was explaining that. Everybody was just working on Sarah's like, we'll tell you later. Just do everything that we tell you.
So at this point, I'm like, what's wrong with the baby? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, is something really bad happening? And then I feel a shot. They have given me a shot. In my birth plan, I said I want as few interventions as possible. Obviously, once you start one, the induction, fetal monitoring, like once you start down that path, the interventions just keep happening. So that's why a lot of people are against hospital births and all this stuff. And so everything calmed down except me because the shot that they had given me.
What's it called again?
Tourmaline? No, wait.
Tourmaline is what they use for hair straightness. So hopefully they didn't give you tourmaline.
I don't know what it was.
That's probably very toxic.
But it was like, they explained it's basically, it's strong enough to stop contractions. So that's a strong medicine.
Like 20 cups of coffee. Right?
Yeah, it basically felt like I had drunk.
One of those.
I had imbibed 20 cups of coffee. So I'm like shaking and my arms are like, remember? They were like floating up.
Those are crazy.
Like I couldn't control it.
She was slapping me. She was saying mean things too.
No, it wasn't. Anyways, then that calmed down and we kind of got back to things. But at this point, I'm having insane labor contractions. Yeah. And like some of them are lasting 40 seconds.
Really strong. And you wanted an epidural, so why didn't you get it at that point?
Well, I don't know. I don't really remember what was going through my head. I felt kind of judged. Yeah, I just felt like I was disappointing myself. I was disappointing the doula. It was weird because she was supportive and she knew that I wanted the epidural. So his heart rate went down again. Same thing. They came in, flipped me upside down, gave me the shot. Some medical student was in the second time his heart rate went down. And he's like, you should just get the epidural. You're probably going to get a C-section anyways. And I've never seen Joe like want to punch somebody so badly. And then after like 8 hours, I had to go to the bathroom, which was the worst experience of my life.
What's it feel like? Like your stomach
You can't explain it.
Really? At all? Yeah. Like if I were to like squish your stomach a whole lot, is that kind of like that?
No. So Joe went out of the bathroom and said, okay, she wants the epidural. They don't allow anybody except the husband to be in the room because apparently if you get distracted or move or something, it can be very dangerous.
Very, very. It's a very large needle that's going into your spine. So if you twist and paralyze you, yeah.
So I'm really freaked out to get it, but you know what? They told me once I made up my mind to get it, then they said it's going to take 15 minutes. I literally thought I was not going to be able to survive that 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. And I wanted to hug the anesthesiologist when he came in. No wonder those people get paid like $1 million a year.
That second.
I got the epidural, which was magic. Oh my God.
So at this point, you're having this undescribable pain. They shoot something up into your spine and I
took a nap.
So now at this point, you can feel nothing. You're just cruising along.
And I'm so tired.
The baby comes.
And then I remember Meredith, who's our doula, woke me up and she said, you're not contracting anymore.
So we upped the Pitocin and here we are. You're starting to contract again. And the contractions are getting harder and longer and longer. And this is great and this is great. And they're getting more and more like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. They're getting very, very good and people are very happy. And then all of a sudden there's a contraction and it stays. So boom, red alert, she presses the button. Everybody comes in, rushes in, and everyone is doing their thing again. They give you the shot again and nothing is happening. And she's still contracting. And immediately she presses another button and just like ER, they rush you out.
Yeah, that was the craziest moment. They put that little thing on me, the OR thing, and they're running down the hall, and I'm just like,
at this point, the baby can't breathe,
and I actually start having a legitimate panic attack. So
and of course, the battery runs out right as we're getting to the exciting part. Okay, where were we?
Blood and guts. Baby. Rush. Just kidding. Yeah. And then they're rushing me, and it is like, you know, when they do the reverse shot in hospital shows, and it's like, you see the lights. Then I start having a panic attack, and I'm like, and no one I know is with me. Joe's not with me, Mom's not with me, Doula's not with me.
Getting ready, and thankfully I had already done a couple, as you can see from my Instagram. I was just like, I'm gonna try out this OR clothes, and they got mad at me for that.
Yeah,
and they were like, good thing you tried out the OR clothes. Go, put them on so that you can get into the OR. Some people laugh, some others don't.
So I get into the OR. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted, freaked out. They're like, I'm sorry, you don't have a choice. like, and we can't wait for your husband to get here. We're cutting you open. And I was like, okay. Then his heart rate goes back up. And they said, okay, this buys us a little time.
Right, you don't have to cut him out right then and there. He's okay, he's breathing.
Your doctor's on her way.
Yeah.
And I remember the nurse, or I don't even know who she was. She goes, I know you don't want a C-section, but if you really don't want one, you're gonna have to get your ducks in a row in order to make that argument. And it felt very threatening to me. And I, at that point, was just done. I wanted to meet Jonah. I was freaked out. I was scared that something bad was gonna happen to him. They couldn't figure out why his heart rate kept going down.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, I'm tapping out. It's been 15 hours.
Do it.
How quick can you get this baby out of me? So, and they said 20 minutes, and that sounded great to me. So at this point, you take over because I don't really know what happened.
Without getting too graphic, because I was watching the whole thing.
Yeah, we won't get too graphic here.
They start totally ripping her muscles apart.
Oh gosh, wait, no.
Okay, I won't get too graphic. It was awesome. I can't believe that they can do that to humans and they survive. It was awesome. It was great. And they get the baby out, and very first thing, he starts crying, and then he pees everywhere. I just see a little jet going, just like that. And everyone starts laughing because, of course, he pees on the nurse the very first thing.
Yeah.
He's tiny. And they bring him over to the little heater, whatever it's called, the incubator, and they start tying you back up or doing whatever they do, and you are heaving.
And I just remember I remember my doctor looking over the curtain and saying, how fast do you want to get out of here? And I said, I've never wanted to leave a place more than I want to leave this OR right now.
A very long answer.
And so instead, they had a plastic surgeon there who was gonna sew me up nice and have everything beautiful. But I was like, I don't care, staples.
Staple me up. Yeah,
so. But I healed pretty quickly, and there's
you were a little loopy for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't feel good. Like, my organs didn't feel like they were put in right.
Really?
Like, I remember calling my doctor and being like, things just don't feel right there.
Did they forget a kidney or something?
So anyways, I saw Jonah for the first time, and my heart exploded into a million little pieces of love. It was just amazing, and I didn't really care in that moment how it happened.
Yeah, and who knows, like, if we hadn't gone to a hospital, if we got to a birthing center, you had some complications, you know, that might have not been okay.
I think I just had in my mind, and obviously this is the first lesson of being parents, is don't expect things to go how you want them to go, because they certainly won't. But Jonah, you know, he sleeps well and he's really snuggly, and I like to attribute that to the fact that he baked in there for so long.
It worked out well.
It did.
Yeah.
All right.
Let us know. Do you have any crazy stories, like the way that you were born? Or if you have a child, the way that your child was born? How was it? How was it done? How were you born? Tell us down in the comments below.
And don't forget to subscribe.
All right. I'll see you guys later.